The Global Data Facility, Mobile Phone Data for Policy Theory of Change was designed in 2024 to help think through the logic of moving from the inputs into outputs, outcomes, and impact. The overarching theory of change has two key rows. The top row defines and describes the country-level pathway to impact and is a generic theory of change for country level. The bottom row in blue shown here is the program level inputs that will be utilized to support the activities. We have highlighted in the theory of change some of the critical assumptions that we're making along the way. In the top row, you can see that the country level pathway to impact is identified as having a few preconditions. These include things like key stakeholders are committed to exploring a partnership. There's a clearly identified lead who will drive the initiative forward. There are incentives or value exchange that's been identified and understood by the parties, and there are no critical blocking factors, such as a data protection authority or a national intelligence agency who are objecting to the plans. There's also at least one mobile network operator who has agreed to share data for the data pipeline, and the partners have available the resources that they need in terms of staffing and capacity, as well as potentially some seed funding to take the initiative forward. There also needs to be foundational capacity at the receiving organization, such as a National Statistical Office or Ministry, Department, or agency. In terms of outputs, we expect that a legal partnership for data sharing is going to be put in place through an agreement that's signed by the parties. That governance is established for overseeing the initiative, that mobile data and infrastructure, capabilities, etc. have been assessed with specialist support for a bespoke pipeline plan, that the data pipeline actually gets established and people can access the aggregated data that's going to feed the system. Some of the outputs may also be that there's going to be activities regarding training and capability building. So the mobile network operator may need training on how to maintain a secure data pipeline. The National Statistical Office may need training on data use and limitations. And both parties may need to understand how they're going to combine data from different sources in order to develop the specific use case. Also, we've got some information about the data and use cases so that, for example, the Statistics Office is engaged with end users to develop the use case and understood how it's going to be deployed in the wider data ecosystem. End users specify the outputs that they need, that have had input into designing it. Survey data generated or other data that's going to be used to triangulate and do bias adjustment, such as census data, has been identified, and additional data for use cases can be accessed. Outcomes are identified as things like an active and mutually responsive public-private partnership has been established with clear goals that everybody agrees on, a shared purpose, everybody's incentives being met. The mobile network operator is providing a sustained, secure, high-quality data flow for the data pipeline. And that in terms of outcomes on capacity and capabilities, the mobile network operator is processing the data in a secure, automated, privacy-protecting and standardized fashion. The recipient, such as the National Statistical Office, is understanding the use and limitations of the data and how to interpret it, and the wide set of applications and use cases that it can be used for, and they're able to advocate for it. The National Statistical Office's analysts also need to be able to produce population and mobility indicators from the aggregates that are being produced and apply standard methodologies, accounting for bias and combining the data with other policy uses. In terms of data and use cases, the data is adjusted for bias and as required using the census or survey data that's been made available. And high-quality data outputs are available to decision makers. If we have all these things in place, then the impacts described earlier with regard to data being used systematically for policy and decision making, being integrated into the national data ecosystem, strengthening the institutional environment have all been achieved.